Hello there, I'm Dejan and welcome to a new video. So I know I didn't say anything about the finals, about the season 2 trailers, and that because I was not in my home. I was actually back in Italy and I didn't have access to all my setup to make my videos. But I obviously watched the finals. I saw, well, Rangchu winning, and it's been a nice final. Overall, I was very happy with how it went, and I think it was a quite enjoyable show. But here today we are gonna talk about the finals themselves, but we're gonna do it my way, which means I got some graphs ready. We're gonna go through some statistics about more characters picks, and I want to see how the top tier actually dominated by the numbers this tournament. So without no further ado, let's jump into it. Here we go. As you can see, I prepared some of my graphs. I have 3 ready here and a big one that is going to be the last one, but we're going to go by order. So the first one we're going to go through is the round robin one. I'm going to go through the same order as the tournament went through, so that it's like analyzing day by day what happened. So this is the first one, and just give me a second. I'm going to just increase a bit the size of the names. Okay, I think now they are quite visible. So, these are the characters that were used during the round robin, okay? So, it just takes in consideration the main character they use. It doesn't take in consideration any switch, because at the end of the day, they would just create a bit of discrepancies with the numbers, and I think this is the best way to do it. But, as you can see, I remember already when I did my datas in my last statistic for what we were going to see into the finals. More or less this was the result, and it reflected especially on the Jhin side. We had 5 Jhins as their mains, and that was exactly what I was expecting to happen, because these players that qualify with Jhin were historic Jhin mains like Raef, CBM, and Daniel Mado, and Book as well. So yeah, no surprises, but overall this was exactly what we were expecting, and honestly this is probably the graphs that gives the least amount of surprise, in my opinion, if you want to say. Everything went more or less exactly as I was thinking. The only surprise is that someone was actually maining a Hachi. I think, I don't want to say it wrong, I think it might have been Yondaime, but I'm not sure. It was someone that was maining either Jhin or another Mishima, and it was because his historic main was a Hachi, and he got released after he got qualified, so probably that's the explanation on that difference. But apart from that, not much to say on these data here. Now, if we go into the second graphs, this gets already more interesting. This is the LCQ. And the first thing you can see that is very interesting is that basically 90% of the roster is represent, and is very good. By the way, this is actually the LCQ top 64. Because I think for how stacked the LCQ was, probably almost every character, I think Panda might be the only one that did not get represented, but this is the top 64 of the LCQ. The tournament was super stacked. There were, I think during the commentary they said there were 600 competitors, but I think at the end the numbers was around 550, which is an insane amount, especially for a tournament that they held in one day. I don't even imagine the rhythm that was going on in that gaming area, and how many stations were going and were moving. But basically what we can see here, the first surprising thing for me, in my opinion, is the Warang is the first and most popular at the same level as King. But I'm not surprised so much by King, because it's very popular in Japan. He's always been very popular into the Japanese community, but Warang, I wasn't aware of that, but apparently well, a lot of people play Warangs, and a lot of people knows how to play Warang, because this is top 64. There are a lot of hidden Warang players around. Then what follows is more or less the usual: Brian, Dragonov, Nina, Shaheen. Surprising to see for Brian at this level actually, but Dragon, Nina, Shaheen, very, very common characters for top tournaments. Especially Shaheen, which I think is someone that you don't see that much in ranked. In tournament, is always there, is always showing his face and performing. Then in the miscellaneous we have all the name, and well, Yoshimitsu, He's probably a musician, you can say already. And then you have Devil Jin, Jin, Panda, and Xiaoyu, no represented at all. Xiaoyu, not as popular usually. Panda, Devil Jin, the least popular character in the series probably at the moment, at least on a competitive player. Jin, surprisingly, here no represented, and the reason is why? Well, every character, every top player that played with Jin was qualified already for the top 16, so basically that's why there was no Jin over here. And probably another interesting fact that you can say here is that Devil Jin doesn't have visa representation, and that's probably because Kudans as well, after ages of super loyal to Devil Jin, went to play Hachi. Now, to be honest with you, I didn't even want to do this graph because it looks very simple, there is not much to see. This is the top 16, this is the final, the last day, last 16, the strongest guys. And as you can see, there was a very general representation of every character, more or less. Again, it does not consider second characters, so as you can see, like there is one Claudio and there is one Zafina, or there is just one Nina, for instance, when Atif switched and won one match with Dragonov, switching to Nina with Dragonov. So I didn't consider that, I just went through with the main that they were there, because at the end of the day is what you were seeing the most. And as you can see, well, it's a very simple graph, is basically 4 Jin and all the rest of the characters and were represented. And I think that this is to... I think that the reason behind this is Jin being such a strong character and way easier to use in this game than what he used to be in 7. And on top of that, having such strong and many pro character loyalists. Because as well, Jin has been the only character that made me feel like, oh, there is Jin again, oh, there is Jin again. He's been literally the only one, because apart from that, the matches were very, I would say, different within each other. So yeah, Jin made it all the way until the 3rd place with Raef, and even if we would analyze the top 8, only the top 8 chart, it would look exactly the same, because there would be 2 Jin for the half of the other lines, and it would be the exact same proportion. So at the end of the day, now with this number, we can say that Jin is the most solid competitive character into the game, and is probably because of his complete toolkit and his lacking of weaknesses that is actually helping him to perform this well on a competitive level. As we see, Dragonov, since the last nerf, apparently is actually suffering from his easy way to be sidestep with his back 4 mix-up, and basically he starts again to need to rely a bit more into down 2 to stop his opponent to step. Yeah, there is not much to say. Jin at the moment is statistically confirmed to be the most performing character on the competitive scene as a overall placement only point of view. And now, before we jump into the last graphs and data, I just wanted to, well, one more time thank every single one of you guys. Even if I haven't been publishing for a while, it's still nice to see every single one of you that is still subscribing and watching my stuff, and seeing that my channel at the end of the day, even with its small size, it never goes dead, and that's nice. That's literally showing that it's going somewhere else. So if you like this stuff, please consider subscribing, don't bother with the bell. I just want to be sure that when you open YouTube and you want to see some Tekken stuff or some other fighting game stuff that is gonna be coming soon, well, it's gonna be in your home, and if it interests you, you might just click it. But again, I don't want to bother you with the notification, you probably have already too many into your phone. Now, for the last numbers. Now, this is basically the most important, in my opinion, and most curious of the all datas. Okay, this is the chart, the graphs that represents the overall character picks of the final, which basically includes top 64 and round robin and the top 16 without having the players doubling up. Okay, so basically you get the representations at the highest level of the Tekken World Tour final. of every single character. And here is very interesting, because you can see that the top players, some of the top characters, sorry, not top player, some of the top characters, the famous top 5 or infamous, are there. And Dragonov and Nina, they are the first two. And this basically represents and says that top player considers those two being the strongest character into the game. Full stop. Period. And then you have King. Again, this is probably to relate to the fact that in Japan King is super ultra popular. Then you have Shaheen and Warang, I was surprised early. And then you have Jin with 5. Jun, surprisingly, quite popular as well. I wasn't expecting to see this many Juns, especially this high level. But then what becomes interesting, apart of the miscellaneous, which is nice to see because basically all the roster almost all the roster gets represented, is that Yoshimitsu, who is considered one of the top 3 characters in the game, has got one player, and 99% I'm pretty sure that that player, we all know who he is a musician. Someone that has been playing Yoshimitsu probably since before he came out even in Tekken. He always played Yoshimitsu, even when Yoshimitsu was trash in Tekken 7, he always stick to him and he always performed on a crazy high level, and now he's still sticking to it and he's the only Yoshimitsu at high level. And this is because at the end of the day, yes, Yoshi is annoying, Yoshi is a trickster and he fools every single one of us into ranked, but when you go to play competitively, when you go to play at the top level, at the end of the day, you need to know your shit to play Yoshi. You need to be, it needs to be basically like an extension of your thumbs if you want to play very well on a competitive level. But the other thing that really comes out to this chart is that the only two characters that are not represented into the tournament whatsoever are Devil Jin and Panda. And why is this? Well, it's very simple, and I said it many times. If you are a bear player, okay, in the past you could have argued you could have had an argument why you prefer Kuma instead of Panda and vice versa. Okay, but in this game, if you're a bear player, there is no reason whatsoever you will ever say that Panda is better than Kuma. There is no reason. Like, especially now that we see that Kuma is the winner of the Tekken World Tour. I mean, Ranchu is the winner, but Kuma is the character that won. So, yeah, if you play bears, why would you ever play Panda when you have a stronger bear available? Especially because we are talking the Tekken World Tour Finals and the LCQ of the Tekken World Tour Finals. Why would you? Same thing for Devil Jin. If you are a Mishima player, why would you play Devil Jin when there are way stronger Mishimas into the roster that you can pick? You have 4 different ones and there are 4 very different tastes, every single one of them. Why would you bother? And this is why, for the first time in many years, Kudans didn't play Devil Jin for the first time in a tournament, and it was quite a surprise. But overall, what we can see is, as well, if we combine these data with as well what we've seen in top 16 and the rest, is that at the end of the day, the only real character that comes out as too much, and as that I mean, it doesn't have a real counterplay. It looks like people struggles to counterplay. The general pro player level struggles a bit more to counterplay this character is Jin, and is super complete and overall perfect toolkit. But nonetheless, at the end of the day, Jin ended up third. The Kuma, the bear character won, and it was very exciting to watch, and it was very exciting to see Rangchun being the first 2 times Tekken World Tour champion. Anyway, this is it. I hope you found interesting those numbers. I hope you enjoyed the Tekken World Tour, and I want to know which one was your favorite match. I honestly enjoyed every single match where Keisuke was playing. I always find him insanely inspiring to watch, especially when he landed that down forward into perfect electric. Then he fucks up the combos because it's Keisuke. But anyway, another little news. I'm gonna be streaming the Game Awards. And as I am a general video game passionate, like you think I play these hardcore just Tekken? No, I play these hardcore almost every single video game I play, especially Souls-likes and stuff like that. So I'm gonna be streaming the the Game Awards, and if you don't know where to watch them or if you want to watch them with me, please feel free to join. I'm gonna be online probably when they're gonna be starting, as I'm gonna be finishing work and run home to start the streaming. But apart from that, I hope you enjoyed. Please subscribe, please comment, put like, all the stuff. You have been awesome, I've been the Jam, and I'll see you next time. Ciao!